mentioned a few times in the book that your daughters have caught on that they're not supposed to say certain swear words, and yet you kind of swear in front of them pretty regularly. I do also. I've got a sailor's mouth. I've got a young daughter, 5 years old, and I've noticed, there were a few times, like as a 3-year-old, where she kind of accidentally dropped the F-bomb in front of my mom or something, and that's not good. But then she kind of caught on, like maybe at 4 or so, that there are just some words you don't say. Why do you suppose that is? Because I personally, I don't believe I've really edited myself. I don't believe I've really come down, come down as a disciplinarian and said, no, you don't say that or anything. But I've just noticed she edits herself way more than I do. Why do you suppose that is?
Language is so not what we can't help thinking it is. And it's our brains are on writing, as I to my students. We think the language is what we see on the page. And what we see on the page is, for one thing, a dictionary where words have these clean little definitions. And so we think that speaking is knowing what the words mean and figuring out how to put them in order. But there's so much more than that to words, such as their social indication. And so kids don't hear us saying, say, F-U-C-K, and then thinking, well, there is a word like sun and raisin and pick me up, and I'm going to use that too. That's not how they hear it. They pick up that it's a word that adults only use among one another, that the word is never used towards them, that you don't look them in the eye and say it. And they couldn't tell you this, but they know, okay, that's a grown-up word, just like nobody gives them bourbon. They see you drinking whatever you like. They never get any. You don't have to say, you can't have any bourbon. They don't want it because they've never been given any, and it's just not an issue. It's the same way with this kind of profanity. So I found with mine, they know. I never told them. They know the words that Daddy uses. They'll repeat them to me with a smile, but they know that they are not supposed to use them. And I've mentioned that once or twice. I've said, don't use these words at school, but they also don't use them around me. Or one of them, the younger and slightly naughtier one, will do a string of them looking at me with a smile because she knows I find it funny. And so she's doing it in quotation marks. I had to disappoint her the other day and say, we're not going on the trip that I said we were going to go on for a couple of weeks. And she whispered into the phone, fuckity, fuckity, fuckity. Like she knew that she wasn't supposed to say that. Now, the thing is, there are words that I would never say around them, where if they said them, I would need therapy. That's the quote unquote slurred. That's our profanity, as opposed to somebody 70 years ago who would have been appalled to hear their child say S-H-I-T before they were 35. So we have profanity, and I've got it too. It's just that it's those words. They don't know those words, for example. They don't hear me using them, and they're not going to. They're going to pick them up in school. But those are the profanities, not the things about the body, and certainly not damn and hell.
Yeah.